Today I'm joined on the podcast by Salmon. Keith is a born and bred Scouser and a massive Liverpool fan. He's travelled all around the world following the Reds and is the author of the book Dreams and Songs to Sing, published in 2009. Keith, thanks for giving up your time today, mate, and thanks for being the first on the podcast.
You're welcome, Mike. I'm very proud to be asked, mate, to be the first.
Big trip up to Ramsey in the sun.
I know, all the way over the mountain. It terrifies me to be fair.
Right, we'll get straight into it then. If you can take us back to where it all began, so where you were born in Liverpool and how did your love for Liverpool Football Club begin?
Well, I was born by the docks in a place called Bootle, where Jamie Carragher's from, actually, so not far from his stomping ground. We moved more toward the north, not far from Aintree Racecourse, when I was about 5. But from there, that was my match going experience. It was from that house, not far from Aintree Racecourse. I used to go with my dad, but it was like went to reserves. In those days, you could go to the reserve matches. My dad had the season ticket, so he got in free, and kids went for free. And the old main stand, I always remember, with like the wooden seats, it was like a playground for us because, you know, like reserves were pretty well populated. Probably had a couple of thousand people in that old main stand. But you go and you get like an orange juice or a cup of Oxo, which I can't stand to this day, to be fair. And then like dead fly cakes with your Eccles cakes and all that sort of stuff. But at half time, because it was, you could go and run around at half time, and you know, my dad would watch the football and I'd watch a bit, like, and instead of like going to like the first team where it'd actually go, it'd be a waste of money, whatever, like that, I actually got to see. And you know, like my heroes in those days were people like Hughie Macaulay and all these people. Hughie Macaulay ended up coaching in Liverpool, but he was like the hero, but he hardly played for the first team. I don't think he even had a first team appearance, but he played regular for the reserves. Steve Gruzovic was in the reserves, and you know, loads of these names were like, you know, sort of the people I watched all the time. I didn't get to see the first team, but I always remember my dad took me the first time to see the first team play, and it was a surprise. So we got on the bus, and our way of going, we always got on the bus and we got to the bottom of Everton Valley, and we walked up Everton Valley, and it was always, you know, no one there because he had a couple of thousand max for the reserve. And this day we got on the bus, and the bus was rammed. And I went, where are all these people going, Dad? And I don't think he was expecting the question, to be fair. I think he was just expecting me to be ignorant. Yeah. I went, it's not usually this busy. He went, you must all be going to quick save. Like that. So I went, it's going to be busy in the quick save, isn't it? And I remember we walked up the hill, and we walked up towards the car park on the side of the main stand, and it was so busy. I'd never seen so many people. Yeah. I said, there are lots of people in the reserves today, isn't it, Dad? Like, you know, and this was 1972, so I'd be just 6 years of age, right, really. And it was just so many people, and I'd never seen that. And he kept tight over my hand and that. And I remember, because you normally go, well, you'd be all right, like, but actually keep tight over my hand. We took me in on the ground. I walked up them steps for the first time and saw the pitch, and I was done. Yeah, that green grass, and it was, you know, probably not long before kick-off, and the ground was pretty busy because in those days, you know, it was pretty full already. Yeah. And I looked to the Kop, and I was just mesmerised by this, like, seething massive humanity. Like, it was just rammed, you know what I mean? And we were in the main stand in, I think I was in my uncle's season ticket seat next to my dad, and it was like, that was it. And he goes, I said, I'll just go and get an Eccles cake. He went, oh, not today, you can't go, it'll be too busy. I was like, but I love it, that's what I do. And I remember Liverpool played West Brom, and they won 2-0. And the only reason I saw one of the goals was it was a penalty. Otherwise I wouldn't have seen it, because I was just busy watching people and watching the Kop. And like, I couldn't understand why Hughie Macaulay wasn't playing, you know? And Chris Lawler scored. I used to love Chris Lawler. And Kevin Keegan was playing, and Toshak and Emlyn Hughes and all these boys. Ray Clements was in goal. And it was amazing. And it was like that going, I'm doing this every week now. He goes, you're not.
So it's between that and the Eccles cake.
So I can't remember the next time I went, but I tell you what, it wasn't every week. So and then I got a season ticket. I think it was 77, 78 was my first season ticket then. Right.
So who'd been manager then?
In 77, 78, it'd be Paisley. Yeah. When I first went, Shanks was the man. So like I don't remember watching them on the line. That's my biggest regret, going, I just watched the Kop. Yeah. And it's like, you know, I remember the ball hitting the back of the net, and it was brilliant, you know what I mean? And everywhere went mad.
The feeling.
And just the feeling of it. And actually, every time I go to a match now, you still walk up them steps from the bowels of the ground and you see the green pitch, you go, yes.
Yeah, I do the same. I mean, like, for my first was in 2006. It was after Istanbul. Fowler scored. It was 1-0 against Bolton. And I always remember, I must have been about, I'd have been 10, 11. About 10, yeah, it was just after Istanbul. And then, like, much like yourself, the green pitch, it's like an luminous sort of, it's the vibrant, isn't it? The green, it
so
smacks you in the face.
Yeah, against everything else. In those days, everything else was quite dull around. You know, people would dress dull, and you know, like it was probably a dull time in the 70s. You know, people didn't have money for, you know, like you go to match now, and everyone's in like Berghaus coats and luminous colours and that. You don't know whether they got red or like all these colours that probably didn't even exist in the 70s. But yeah, you never forget the first time.
No.
And so, you know, and it's the same when I took Charlie for his first time, and even Izzy, my daughter, I took her for the first time as well. Like that, you see the wide-eyed innocence, and they love it.
Yeah.
They love it, and it's like that never leaves you. And everyone you speak to, no matter what club they support, they always remember that first time, whether it be a big club or a little club or whatever. And they just love it. It's
like a first love never dies.
It is, and it's a time of innocence.
Yeah.
So actually, it's not being poisoned by things that have happened afterwards or money or you know, you never really realise. Like sometimes you go and watch football clubs now, and you go, those fellas on the pitch don't care. Well, you actually believe they cared about everything, and they did at the time. You know, it was probably a little bit more honest side. The money of it wasn't the most important thing. It was the fact was they were pulling the red kit on and like they were your team.
It was a working class game, really, back in those days, wasn't it?
It really was, yeah. It was, you know, at the end of the day, it was true working class game. You know, and actually, it was very male dominated. Then you very rarely saw women or girls or anything like that. And it was a male thing, but it was a male pursuit. I remember my dad, pretty much. We hardly saw him as kids because he'd work from 6 in the morning to 6 at night in a bakery, and he'd come home and, you know, you'd be like, you know, he'd probably see you at your worst really because you were tired after all day and he was tired and that. And then on a Sunday he'd have to do overtime to make ends meet. And, you know, so of a Saturday, his Saturday was Saturday afternoon was going to match. Okay, Saturday morning he had to take us swimming. Okay, but Saturday afternoon was his time to go to match, have a couple of pints with the lads, and that was his only pleasure in life was football, you know, and that's it. Whereas we're a lot luckier than that, you know. When you look at it, some of the things we done, my dad couldn't afford to do. Yeah. But when he was younger, before he had kids, he did the home and away bit as well, which is what I got to do. Which, you know, and this is, you know, and I know you probably ask questions about this soon, but that's about being a football fan. It's not actually about what happens on the pitch. Yeah, it's the match day experience and everything that comes along with it. That's it. Meeting people, and obviously that's what a lot of people meet mates and stuff there, and you've got mates for life, and that's how. Well, I actually, obviously living now in the Isle of Man, I've got friends here. But my real mates, if anyone's listening, I must apologise, but my real mates are the lads to go to match with. And actually, sometimes I see them in Liverpool, sometimes I see them in Barcelona, sometimes I see them in Kiev. Like, you know what I mean? That's where you meet your mates. And actually, my mates are great because it doesn't matter that you live away. As soon as you hook up with them, it's like you were there yesterday. But the thing that binds us together is always the football. It's always football. To be fair, we hardly ever speak to each other outside of football. I'm the same. It's nothing family orientated. It's all about football first. Don't say that. It's because Lauren's out of the house now. That's right, I'm not telling my missus to listen to this. So it's fair to say once you went to your first game, that was you hooked then. Yeah, to be fair, I was probably hooked before I went to that. You know, I learned to read through football because I was a slow starter. I think my dad would call it something else, but I didn't want to read. I had no interest in reading, and I'd say to him every Saturday night, "Do you know how did Liverpool get on?" And he'd go, "Oh yeah, 2-1 now." I went, "Read the report to me. Read the report." And he goes, "Oh," and at one point he just got so fed up with reading the report. He went, "Read it yourself." But I can't read. He said, "Well, you'll have to learn to read." So I learned to read through the Football Echo, the pink. Oh, really? And it was, and, you know, it was, I could read how Liverpool got on, I could see the headlines, and I learnt my maths from the football tables. And at that point, it was 2 points for a win. So I knew how many points Liverpool had, how many games he'd won, how many they'd lost, how many they'd drawn, what the goal difference was, how many goals he's got. That's how I learnt my maths. And I learned how many points he needed to win the league, or how many points someone would be if they didn't get this amount of points to get relegated and stuff like that. So I learnt my maths. And actually, I use this technique now for learning for Charlie. He's passionate about his football. That's how he's going to learn. A lot of kids actually learn a lot of maths and stuff like that through FIFA.
Yeah,
you look at FIFA, like Charlie saying, I've got this SBC and Bayer, and it's like this virtual squad and this, and he's a 99 pace, and I think, whoa, like that. And if I do that, I can increase it by this. And you think, oh, I'm crying out loud. Just took it on a different game. But actually, I use football as his learning platform. Geography was, where's Kiev? Go and find Kiev on a map. How am I going to get there? And he can actually work out a journey to get there. If we got to Istanbul this year, he had a plan. He had a proper plan, and it was flying to Odessa and getting a boat overnight from Odessa to Istanbul. It was
You'd had your card out that wallet straight away, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, obviously, you've said about your first match, your first match day experience. What does a standard match day look like for you now? And comparing it, going to the match now, what's the massive difference that you see from back in for the first days of going? Is there anything that stands out?
Well, it's probably the comparable bit as the adult match day, as opposed to, I said, there's more colour and more vibrancy, and it's about money now. Everything's designed to take money out your pocket around the match day experience. Obviously, a lot more corporate. There was no corporate stuff when I was young, but even when I started going, my real match going days were 80s, 90s and early 2000s. Since I've been here, I haven't been able to go as much. So you do recognise a bit more, and like when I used to go in the 80s, I wouldn't even go for a drink after the match or before the match. I'd go the match because I'd go home and away. So actually, if I went to the pub after a match or before a match in Liverpool, I didn't have enough money to go away.
Right.
So actually, I wanted to go with the away matches, and it was like that. So all my money, every penny I had spare, went on following Liverpool. So for I think it was 5 years, I never missed a match home and away. And it was when they were out of Europe, so it was all domestic stuff. But I know the ins and outs of every nook and cranny of England just because Liverpool. I've been to places that you would go that you would never ever go if it wasn't for football. But it was a lot of it was, home matches was going on the bus, getting to the match, standing in the same place in the Cop, meeting the same people, and the camaraderie around there. The away matches was more about driving to away matches with the same group of guys. We had about 8 of us, but I would drive everywhere. I'd be the designated driver. I didn't drink, so they were quite happy because they could have all the pints, but I was quite happy to get there and back. I was the first one to have a car. So the real dynamics was the away match. The away match actually was better than the home match, so that the experience then become that. But now, when I go over, it's my social time as well. So actually, I go to pub before the match, and I go to pub after the match, and go to town until I don't go to Pop World because I'm too old. But we gotta go to town and go to Lobster Pot on the way home, because I can still stay at my mum. My mum's still alive in Liverpool, so I've got a place to stay. And I'll have a few beers, do you know what I mean? It's nice and it's social, and that's it. But I only get to do that maybe 6 or 7 times a season.
So when you do it, you appreciate doing it. Time
much
out.
more. And to be fair, it's back to the early days. I don't go out in the Isle of Man. Because actually my money goes on when I go over there. And obviously a match day will be the travel bit from here is the big bit. Is you're either going on a boat or on a plane. And in the summer, you go for the boat because it's cheaper. It can be an early start, or sometimes I'll go over on the Friday night tea time boat, and then I've got all day Saturday and Sunday. But obviously that's an impact at home because I'm not around for pretty much a full weekend then. So I always say to Nikki, I said, all I've got is my football. She said, I don't do anything else but my football. She goes, yeah, but when you go for like 3 days at a time on a bender. I go, well, there is that.
That's it, though. You've got to be done, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a lot more social for me now. And actually, I can't go to away matches because actually you can't get tickets. Whereas back in the day, I could get as many tickets as you wanted. There's this myth about the 80s that the ground was rammed all the time. It was full. It wasn't. If you look at like not capacities, what the crowd figures were. They were quite low. Early in the season, you're looking at anything between 24 and 30,000 early on. Where it got busier was as they got towards winning leagues and stuff like that, and big matches people would turn out. But in Liverpool in the 80s, there was no money around. So actually, it was a case of you either ate or you went to match. If you could do both, brilliant.
Yeah.
And I was lucky I had a job from when I was like 19 that had money in my pocket, so I could actually... And where it was I lived at home for a long time. I lived at home till I was 28 because that could help me travel all around England watching Liverpool. If I had my own house with a mortgage and stuff like that, would never be able to do it.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of lads now who are still doing it, who were doing it back in the day. It's still a life, but sometimes you have to think about other things. And the main priority for me is the family. Football's not the biggest thing in my life.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing of the less important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I suppose I'm going down that path myself. Obviously, I've got Tommy now, so he's 18 months. And, you touched on it there. You kind of, that's your time out. So I don't really go out in the Isle of Man as much anymore. Yeah. I'll save my money and I'll go, right, I'm going to go to this match.
Yes.
And I'm going to save, I'm going to do this when I'm there, I'm going to do that when I'm there.
That's when I've seen you.
Yeah. But I enjoy it more. I get more of a buzz. It's
less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm completely there with you now. Obviously, you've touched on it there. You've got your son, Charlie.
Yeah.
Because you take to the games now. So I've met Charlie.
Yeah.
He's a great lad.
Once met, never forgotten.
He probably knows more about the players than they know about themselves.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Especially through FIFA, yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But I just wanted to wonder how your match day changes with him now.
With him, yeah.
And what do you most enjoy about taking him?
To be fair, it can be hard work taking a kid to the match.
Yeah,
you have to go. You give yourself up. It's not about you anymore. And it is. You have to, especially when they're young. When you're young, it takes it over. So, for instance, you will sit in the pub. And you go like that, you're trying to talk to your mate and he's like pulling on you and going, come on dad, we can go now. I said, hold on, we're going to meet the lads and stuff like that. And he goes, oh, come on. And you go, like, it's like 2 hours before kick-off and he wants to be by the ground, but he doesn't want to be by the ground by anything. It's just like, just go, hold on. Part of the fun is like meeting your friends and having a chat and doing like that.
Yeah.
So as he was really young and doing it, then he gravitated towards sitting there with a glass of Coke while you're having a drink with the boys, and then he'd be on the side of it. Then he gets to join in. So we're like, he's 13 now. From I've been taking him from probably think he was 7 or 8. So he's gravitated through now where he's sit in the corner and laugh at his dad's jokes. Well, actually more laugh at the others' jokes and just go, oh dad, you're dead and bad. Until the fact he's gone. I took him to Madrid to the Atletico game, and that was a real challenge. 2 days away, staying up till late. Like making sure if there's any bother anywhere that you're not in the way of it. It's a real. You give a lot of yourself up because actually it's not about you. You're caring about the little one with you. And actually he got it. Because he had a ball, he had an absolute ball, and he was getting fed free tapas all day long and Coke. What can't you got it? Like?
Yeah, I suppose those sort of games are perfect because you're really giving him the European experience. You're trying the cuisine, seeing the sights.
You know how tiring it is, though.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like we left the Isle of Man on the Monday morning at 10 o'clock. And we get to Barcelona at 8 o'clock at night, and then we go out for tapas, and he eats too much tapas. He goes, oh, my stomach. I think, I'm going to be sick all the way home. Like. But then we're up early, we're up at 7 to go and get a train to Madrid and all this sort of stuff. And he's having an absolute ball, but you just think, oh my God, how is he going to stay up till midnight? Because it doesn't kick off till 9. By the time you get out the ground and all that. And he was brilliant. And actually, he went into a bar. We were in a bar till 1 a.m. in the morning in Madrid because actually they liked that. And he was sipping down a bit more tapas. And at 1, I went, it's time to go, mate. He's going, oh, really? I went, well, we're up at 7.
We'll go again.
But all of a sudden, and when you look at the pictures, he's one of the boys.
Yeah.
He gets it now.
Understands it.
So actually, when you take him next time, and he's not stopped talking about it. So early on, you have to be... it's not about you anymore. And I always remember my dad took me when I was younger, and I'd sit in the corner of a pub. Me and my cousin, we'd entertain each other. So actually, I'm trying to entertain Charlie. When there's two kids there, they entertain each other. Bag of crisps and a bottle of pop. That's how I grew up.
Yeah.
And actually, we used to be in pubs where the bricks had come through the windows and things like that. Thankfully, he doesn't have to face any of that. But we were always protected by the people we were around, and we were always looked after. And the barmaids loved you. Yeah. And actually, I always remember getting a harmonica off a barmaid for Christmas one year. And it was like that, I was like, well, you shouldn't have to do that. But actually, it was like, because you were good kids and you were there like that. And I loved going with my dad. And the first time I heard him swear was funny. And he went, don't tell your mum. And I have never told my mum my dad swears. Because what goes the match stays the match. Yeah. So I remember my dad taking me, I think it was 82 and 83. Liverpool played Tottenham one year and Man United the following year, I think it was, or the other way around. And it was at Wembley in the League Cup. And they were dodgy days out. You went on the special, and then when you got off the special, the whole of London had turned out to fight the Scousers and the Manx and all this sort of stuff. And it was probably terrifying for me dad, because he's got this kid next to him.
Yeah,
who's what, like, what would I be? Probably be 15, 16, but still young. And I was going, oh yeah, this is great. And he's going, watch the bricks and all that sort of stuff.
Some from Green Street. And
actually, you're going to go, well, you give up going with his mates just to be with me, to look after me, so I could go.
Experience.
It's quite a selfless act, really. So, what I've been able to do with Charlie now is get him in with my mates. My mates were brilliant with him, you know what I mean? So, that's the difference. Yeah. You got it all to come, mate, with Tommy.
I know.
Yeah, I can see the picture of him now.
I don't know how he'll take it.
Well, to be honest with you, you've got to get him at the right age.
Yeah.
Too soon, because especially coming from here, where we're nice and quiet, and that the experience of massive crowds is quite, like, it can be overwhelming.
Quite daunting.
Yeah, but Charlie and Izzy was great when she went as well. She only been once, but she just want to go again. She just went with her dad, and she loved it. Got a pink Liverpool scarf. Loved the game. She cheered when she was supposed to cheer, and she went home happy. Do you know what I mean? So,
been there, done that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. Off the tick list. I'd rather go shopping to New Look with my mum.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good point. You can't take them too young, because they can get scared. And I suppose, touching on it there, you're watching out for them the whole day. You don't want something to put them off going to match again, do you?
Yeah, you end up not watching the game most of the time, and especially if they're at the point where going, I need a wee every 5 minutes, and you go. So, like, when he was 7, he was all right, but you still can't go for a wee on his own. Mm-hmm. Now he can go to the toilet on his own. You're not scared of him going to the toilet on his own, because you've got to be careful nowadays. And
yeah, definitely.
While you be looked after, it's still, if you get lost in that crowd, you're never getting found. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't want someone to go, he gets lost and he's terrified. So it's a massive responsibility, but it is the nicest thing I've ever done for him. Mm-hmm. And actually, I've given him that passion. Like, he's so passionate now, it's unbelievable. Yeah,
you give him the platform to go and do it, and if he wants to do it,
that's what he wants to do when he grows up. Yeah, he wants to go round the world watching Liverpool. Well, there's no better life, mate.
No.
Crack on.
So, touched on away days there. What's your favourite away you've done? And, I mean, for me personally, I think I've done 6 or 7 aways now. Most of them under the Klopp era. For me, the actual 90 minutes isn't... No. We're thinking about it's the
sometimes it's the worst part of the trip or the day. Yeah.
So you can't do nothing about the 90 minutes. So it's the travelling to different places. It's trying a different cuisine if you're on the Europeans, which we're obviously lucky enough to do. Go and seeing the sights. And obviously, before we started recording, you were saying about going to places in Britain that you'd never been before. You'd probably never go to
again. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts around your favourite aways, and is the travelling the best part?
There's nothing better than watching Liverpool win in an away game in Europe or anything like that. And actually, you touched on it there. The European experience is the one, really, because actually it's totally different. Where you've probably been to English towns and cities throughout your life and stuff, and most of them are, there's a familiarity about it. But when you go on a foreign place, when you see something you've never seen before, it's totally different. And I think the one on that score would be Kiev. Yeah. Because it was like nothing I'd ever seen before, to a point. Because, well, to be fair, Kiev was a strange place, but Ukraine was a strange place. Ukraine had Western elements of it, but then like bits of like what you would expect a communist era Cold War places like communist Russia to be like.
Yeah.
You know, big grey buildings, but like one half of the city sparkled and the other half was like grey tenement blocks, and it was like, you know, you can see like there used to be an oppressive regime there. And we stayed in a town called Lviv on the Friday night, and Lviv, we stayed on the outskirts and we walked into town, about a 20-minute walk. And there was a fella selling stuff to survive, and what he was selling was, all he had in his little box of tricks was a sprig of broccoli, or a florets of broccoli, whatever you call it. You know, there's a bit of broccoli in there, one potato and a tomato. That's all. And he was selling it, and he had like string holding his pants up and sort of like. There was sort of abject poverty on one element on the streets. They were like really surviving. Get in the middle of town, and it was like what I'd expect somewhere like Krakow to be, or something like, you know, like a very westernised place where like
bars, etc.
Yeah, bars, lovely town square, very affluent, and there was like, you know, Mercedes going around and all these, you know, like, oh, it was a very affluent place in the middle, but on the outskirts, it was like, it was a different town, different world. It was like a different era, to be fair. And Kiev was like that as well. And actually, it was like a place I'd never been before. Language. It's like Cyrillic, I think they call it, where, you know, you can't read it and you can't say it, you can't write it, you can't do anything with it, you know, and like it was cheap as chips as well.
Yeah.
But we met some lovely people. You know, we were at Liverpool Supporters Club on the Friday night there, and we had an absolute ball in this place called Lviv. And it was, most of the Friday night was just being in a nice place in Europe. The last element was that the Supporters Club become like a little bit of a Scouse enclave, and it was like Scouse visitors and the Ukrainian Reds, and they were really welcoming, and it was really, really nice. And then on the Saturday when we went to Kiev, it was like, went all the way on the straight. It was a 5-hour express train, so that's how far it was away. But it was a 6 o'clock train, but then we had all day in Kiev, and then we come back at 6 o'clock the next morning. And I always say that is my favourite trip ever. And even with the match, within an hour of the match finishing, the disappointment had gone. We were back having a drink and having a laugh and going, this is just boss. And I was with all my mates, and like it was amazing because you couldn't ring anyone there because you couldn't use your mobile phone generally, because actually the costs were really unbelievably high. So they were saying don't use it, only use Wi-Fi and all that sort of stuff. But actually mates just kept appearing out of nowhere. When you think there's about probably 40,000 Reds there, they just end up going, all right, so, you know, like they'd come and they'd go and all this sort of stuff. And it was really, really good. We had a support. Most Reds who went to Kiev will go, it's one of the best trips I ever did.
So that beats Istanbul for you as well?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, because Istanbul's a one-off. I think I'm in a different place in my life, I think. So actually, maybe because it's the freshest. Because Istanbul was amazing, and Istanbul drove the book, which I know we're going to have a chat about. But that until Kiev, Istanbul was the one. But Kiev, it was unique. And it was like a real eye-opener. Yeah. And, you know, I think maybe because as you get older, you start to look at things with different eyes. I think with Istanbul, there was a lot of trepidation because there was always this thing about, there'll be trouble in Istanbul and all this sort of stuff. And no one. It
was in the middle of nowhere, wasn't it?
The ground was, but, you know, also getting there, I went on my own to Istanbul, and I come back on my own. I met my mates on the day, but everything else was on my own. Here, I had my mates with me on the journey. Yeah. And we did a great journey via Austria and this town called Lviv. And I went with lads from the Isle of Man. I went with Brads and all those. And then I met my mates in London, and you know, and then they joined up. So my mates were talking to my mates off the Isle of Man and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. And they all got on, and it was great.
You meet people, and that's the main part of it, isn't it?
I think that's why it's better, because it was like. It was an experience because of everybody who was involved, and there was loads of nice people involved. And then we had you know, one of my mates come overnight on a bus from Poland, and all. And we met him as we got off the train in Kiev. And so, you know, for me, I think the whole thing that becomes my best trip ever. But as I say, I'm sitting here in my 50s now, looking at it a different way than probably when I was in my 40s or 30s.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's not the 90 minutes, is it? It's the going and meeting people, new places. Yeah. So we did Roma in 2018.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything, like you say, so most people would expect you to say Istanbul, but obviously you've said Kiev. I think I could go to a final, get a ticket, watch us, and I don't think anything will beat Rome.
No.
It had that old school sort of 80s, they hated us, we hated them.
It had an edge to it,
yeah,
didn't it? It had a
obviously,
real edge to it.
The things that were coming up before the home game when we played them, I went to that as well, with Sean Cox.
Well, I was literally 100 yards from Sean Cox when he'd got hit because they run past us, and you're just like, well, what's gone on there? And, you know, and that laid the trail for what would happen in Rome potentially. And, you know, I'd always said I would never go to Rome, so I got a ticket for Rome, but I passed it to my mate because I've said forever I'm never going to Rome, because I've been to Rome in '89 to watch Roma play Atalanta, it was, and I just went, never going there, because they were stabbing people there.
Yeah, it's heavy, isn't it?
And it wasn't the way I wanted to watch my football. So my mate wanted to go, I got him a ticket, looked after him, but ultimately that got me my ticket for Kiev anyway. You know what I mean? So
I mean, we were in the park for the home leg, and me and Glover walked out, and it was mad. There was fans running down Walton Breck. It was mental. Only when we got in the ground and you go on Twitter, you find out what happened. You're like, there's me fucking sitting there in the main stand thinking, shit, I'm going to Rome next week, got everything booked. My mum's there texting me, I'm not going to Rome next week.
Yeah.
I thought, fucking am. But you go, and you know what? It was
Sam, wasn't it?
It was fine.
My mate said it was.
They put the buses on for us, took us up to the ground. I mean, it probably would have been pretty heavy if they hadn't have done that. But it
was funny. I took Charlie to watch Lazio play last April, it was, and I did the bit to get to the ground via other means, and you wouldn't survive, because actually the bridges you got to cross to get to the ground, you'd just be sitting ducks. Sitting ducks. Yeah, you know, and it's a bit of a heavy place, so I'd always said I wouldn't go there.
I've been to
Milan. I've been to Milan. Milan was fine. Milan was all right. But yeah, Rome wasn't for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd do another Italian away, just because I think going over there I'd be a bit more worried about what could or couldn't happen.
But especially now you got Tommy as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's more important things to think about, isn't there?
That's the thing, is, you know, if you were unlucky or anything like that, and to be fair, you got to, you know, it is a bit of luck, but actually you do become a target. You know, and that's not the way it should be. And I'm quite lucky with most of the games I've been to, they've been all right. There's been little elements looking for trouble, but generally they're well pleased. And you know, if you're not going looking for it, you're all right. And generally Liverpool don't go looking for it. So do you know what I mean?
So I've got to ask you about Istanbul. So
that started the book.
Gerrard scores. Are you believing?
I forget Gerrard scored, and it'd have been knocked out. When he got one,
Did you believe? Yeah.
Like Barcelona, I said, if you get one, they'd be rocking. And we had that. You never walk alone at half time. People going, it was more in hope than anything. And you know, maybe it was, but it had this anthemic feel to it that actually. It was an inspirational thing. Sometimes, you never walk alone, and it's just another version of it. But this one was heartfelt, and it was slow, and it was very precise, and it was everything that the football song should be for us. Yeah. Sometimes people sing it too fast and all this sort of stuff, and everyone goes, "Oh, it's too fast." But actually, you go, when it's at its best, and it was just like, it was like saying, "We still believe in you."
We're still here.
Yeah, we're still here. You know, like there was 40,000 of us, and like, you know, unfortunately we were going nowhere because it was miles away from it. Yeah. So even if you got out, you weren't getting anywhere. Yeah. So actually, there's some people going, "I've got to go." And I've got a mate, Peter. He lives in Scotland, and he's a massive red. He's a little bit older than us, but he's been, you know, he's done the miles and all this sort of stuff. And he come down at half time, and he went, "Do you know what? We get one. We'll win this 4-3." He said we went like that. So I found him full time. Went, "You're a liar. I'm going to go through penalties."
His fault. We went to penalties.
But you just thought, when he got one, and he got the second so quickly, and you could feel the momentum in the stadium, because actually when he got one, the Italians were already nervous, and you just go, "Well, how can you be nervous when you were 3-0 up, 3-1?" You go, "Oh yeah."
I think they'd conceded something like 4 goals or something the whole tournament leading up to that.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. They were the most amazing side, and actually the 2005 Liverpool team was probably one of the poorer Liverpool teams at that point.
We were lucky to be there, weren't we?
Yeah, but they'd ridden the way, but they'd had some fabulous performances on the way as well. Like, you know, when they beat Juventus at home and stuff like that. And I was at the Olympiacos game, and I was sitting next to my dad, and then obviously Gerrard pulls that one out in the last couple of minutes, and he went, but they were so poor going up to it, and there was a lot of angst around the club, and it was like, will Gerrard stay, will he go, and all that, and you couldn't feel, there was no positivity around it. But as that run went on, he went like that, and he went like that. When he beat Juventus at home, he went, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah.
And then he got that great draw in Turin, like, you know, and it was like, come on. And then when he got to Istanbul, all day, no one was not believing. Our name was on the trophy because the run we'd had and how we got there, and the fact that we, you know, everything else in our game was not great, but when they were in Europe, they were fabulous. We went, it's the season. This is the season. No one can beat us. And actually, we never really looked at AC Milan about how good they really were. We never looked at they had Crespo and all those boys. We weren't interested in Shevchenko. We ruined Shevchenko.
Yeah.
His career was never the same again. It's just like we just ruined Barcelona. So, you know, it was like, at that point, there was no disbelief. And then all of a sudden, after less than a minute, you're like, that's going, that wasn't in the script. And it was funny because I was stood in like the bottom corner of the Liverpool fans behind that goal, and it was I was on my own, and my mate was right behind the goal. And at half time, I thought I'll go and stand with him and just stood with him, because actually you want to share it with the people you want to share with.
Yeah.
And he's the lad to stand next to all the time. Now, when you go to my mate's hill, and you go like that, I thought, if we're going to go down and get battered, I want to be next to him because he's more miserable than me. I thought I'd
shoulders to cry on.
Like that, I'd probably stop him, like, you know, like being like not going home, like, because he'd be like that. He was devastated at half time, and then my mate comes down and goes, Joe, we get one, and then when we got one and we got two, and then we, you know, right away he went, we're going to win this. And it was funny because getting to full time, and also as the minutes ticked down in extra time, you were just hanging in there because they were done for. The effort to get back in the game had wiped them out, and Milan came again. And then when Dudek made that save from Shevchenko, I was right behind that, and he went the first one. He went, like that, and you actually went, oh no, and actually because you thought he can't miss in there, and all of a sudden the ball's bouncing towards us off the running track. You go, how did he save?
It's like you've seen it in the net before it even happened.
Yeah, because you thought the first save from Dudek's amazing because it's a great save, but you go, Shevchenko can't miss it.
Yeah,
because and actually Shevchenko, Dudek puts his hand up and it just basically hits it, doesn't it? But that's what goalies train, isn't it? Get your hands up and do all this sort of stuff, and it's a reaction thing. And at that point you go, there's no way they're not winning penalties. You know what I mean? And when they did, and I remember my head was banging because there was no water in the ground. There was like, head was banging, and you couldn't believe what you'd seen. You were like that, going, pinch me, I can't believe what you see. And then I realised I've got nowhere to stay. I got like that. What am I going to do?
That's like me in Madrid last year.
Yeah, it was like going, we've got to find somewhere, and you go like that. And you went, and actually all my mates were going home. I was you always said I met my mates there. I was back on my own again.
Yeah.
So I remember going to a bar afterwards, and we were back to Taksim Square. We were in this bar just down the street, and everyone was dead quiet because it wipes the energy out of you. Yeah, everyone's like that. And
you felt like you played yourself after those sort of games.
Yeah, definitely. You? Yeah, you know, you are emotionally, physically drained. But after one pint, all of a sudden, people start talking, going, oh, "What happened there?" And it was still the days where you couldn't see the immediacy of stuff on your phone. You couldn't see it. You know, there was a television in the bar. And like on the hour or something like that, there was news, and you'd see the goals, and you just get a glimpse of it. You get a glimpse, but you didn't see all that. And it was like then people would come and go, and all the hugs would start and the songs would sing. By 5 o'clock, we're having a party. You know what I mean? By 8 o'clock, I thought, I've got to get a train home now. And I was wellied. I was proper wellied, yeah, because I still had to go. I went in via Greece and then northern Turkey, so I still had to go back via. I had to get a 15-hour train to Thessalonica, and then I had the night in Thessalonica, and then flight to Athens, London, train to Liverpool, and then wait to go to the Isle of Man. I come back to the Isle of Man on the Sunday. I think it took me 6 days there and back, and it was like it was an amazing time. But I said I did most of it on my own. I wouldn't change any of it. But that's why Kiev was probably a little more special, because
shared experience.
Shared experiences are really valuable.
When you do it with your mates, it means more, I suppose, doesn't it? I feel going now, like the memories we have, even when we just go on day trips. On the way over there, we're talking about the matches that we've been to.
Yeah,
so
on the way home, this is where I met you and Glover, and with Charlie, and you were talking to Charlie. You didn't even have Tommy then. Tommy wasn't even a sparkle. You're going, I can't wait to be a dad and all this. I can't wait to do this. When in the future, what's it like? Because you were pumping me for information about what's it like going to match with a kid. And it was like, and Charlie's sitting there going, these are quite drunk, aren't they? I went, yeah.
He was bang on. That's what 3,000 a beer Keller can do to someone.
It was, but that was a great day out, do you know what I mean? Because actually, that boat trip home made it as well.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I like coming home on a boat, because actually I see loads of people on the boat now. In the old days, I'd just go on my own and come back on the boat. I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And actually, well, I'll be all right. But actually, there's loads of great lads and girls who go from here. There's loads of lovely people. You get talking to someone, won't you? And all of a sudden, sometimes you can't remember your name, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah. But, you know, it's like, I've met the nicest people following Liverpool. Some of the stuff I've done, I've travelled the world for work as well, and when you go anywhere and watch a game in a local supporters club, I've got mates in South Africa and Dubai and Gibraltar and all that, all because of the football. All because of it. It brings everyone together, you know, and some of them are expat scouters. Most of them aren't, though. But what you realise is when you go around the world, people's dream is to come and watch them. People's dream is to go to Anfield or to go to Old Trafford or even Goodison, maybe, you know.
Yeah, we're lucky to do it, aren't we?
We are.
On the away days as well, just touching back on that, when I started going to the aways, I think my first away was Newcastle away.
Which is some away, that's
it's a good, and we got beat 2-0. Genie Wijnaldum scored 2 actually for them.
Really?
Yeah. And then the other domestics I've done, so I've done Burnley, West Brom. It's only when you go to those grounds you appreciate all the pubs that you've got around Anfield. I always had this, I don't know why, I always had this image in my head that you'd go to these away grounds and there'd be a bit like Anfield, you know, be in the middle of nowhere.
There's 1 or 2 pubs by Newcastle, and then by Burnley I think you got to go to the cricket club.
We had to go to a cricket club, and it was a shithole.
Yeah.
I mean, Burnley, I'm probably not going to get any listeners from Burnley.
Don't get any Burnley fans on,
But it's that place is almost black and white. It's that dull. But like you say, it's the travelling down, and that's what makes it.
This is the thing, do you know when you say like Burnley's a dull place or something like that, the thing that makes these places come alive is the football. You know, like they had a passionate crowd. Stoke was the same. Stoke was always the same back in the day. Was when you went to Stoke, you knew you had to be on your toes. Because I tell you, I knew you knew that if any of these teams beat Liverpool, the place was exploding.
That's their cup final, isn't it?
Oh, massively so. And I remember I went to Peterborough once, and we got beat 1-0 in the League Cup, and it was under Souness's time, so this is going back to 92 or something like that, and they totally deserved to win. 15,000 people in London Road, and the place went nuts, and it was bouncing, and it was like that. 3 years later, I go to work for Peterborough United, and I was working for them, and in the corridors are the night they beat Liverpool, and everyone talks about the night they beat Liverpool. So when a small club gets a big club scalp, it's a massive thing, because actually they are underdogs. It's like, you know, that's what they live for, is to beat a big club, because they know they're never going to win the league. And especially now, you know, people aren't going to win the league unless you pump millions and millions of pounds in. Like Burnley do brilliantly, because look at what they do, they survive again, and you know, they're on a small budget and all that. They just do a fabulous job. And if you stay in the Premier League for a number of seasons, done a good job.
Yeah, it's a bit like when Blackpool beat us at Anfield.
Yeah.
That, you know, and look where they are now, but they've got that for them.
Got that forever.
They've got that forever, haven't they? So.
And if you were one of those Blackpool fans in Tangerine behind that goal like that, that's one of your best life experiences. And they'd been the Albert, not the Albert, they'd been the Arkles before the game, and they'd gone, and actually, no, everyone from our lot walked away and went, well, you deserved it as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and you know, going to places like we look to go to the Bernabeu, and we looked forward to going to the San Siro or the Nou Camp or the Allianz or something like that. And you go, people look forward to coming to Anfield, and people from abroad, you know, if you look at the fans who come from Barcelona, they want to come to Anfield.
Yeah.
And the same, they want to go to Old Trafford. And they want to go to these places that are famous for the football fans and the passion and the stuff in it.
Yeah, I suppose we've made so many moments, haven't we? So you've got Istanbul, Barcelona, Olympiacos. Did you do the Dortmund game 4-3?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I was right next to the Dortmund fans.
So went to that, and I think leading up to it, obviously there was so much around Klopp and Dortmund, and you know, them kind of coming back together again. Once the match is over, obviously what happens. The first thing I thought about was, you know, you grow up as a Liverpool fan, and you know, I was 10 when I watched Istanbul, Olympiacos. Yeah. I didn't get a ticket for Barcelona, but obviously Dortmund's before that. You hear Saint Etienne's another one.
I was going to say, I was just thinking about Saint Etienne.
I was trying to think of the games.
You weren't even alive. Everyone wants their Saint Etienne moment or the Olympiacos moment.
And when that Dortmund game happened, I thought I finally got one for myself there.
When Lovren scored that header.
Yeah.
That's one of the great European nights.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame that we didn't go on to win the cup final, but I always wanted
European nights.
Yeah. But you always want one of those moments for yourself, and I remember coming away from the ground thinking, I've got one of them now, no one can take that away from me.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. Moments. It's life moments. You know, I think football can give you those life moments, but it also can give you the worst moments, where the last minute goal against you, you know, and that sort of stuff. Or that night in Seville, it's just like at half time you're bouncing, and by the end of it you're devastated and you're walking away. But football gives you that. Life gives you it in different ways. You know, when the kids are born and all that. You know, I made a mistake once. I said, someone asked me, what's the best night of your life? I went, Istanbul. And Nikki went, you know, I went, she goes, sorry. I went, Istanbul was the best night of my life. And she goes, so not our wedding night? I went, no, because our wedding night was like the full 24 hours. I said, I don't look at it as just one night. It's a full day. And I thought I got out of it.
Got away with that one.
I never. I'm constantly reminded of it.
You're allowed back in the house then.
And I am allowed back in the house, but never mention Istanbul in the same sentence. Yeah.
So obviously you made the book in 2009.
Yeah. Dreams and Songs to Sing.
How did that come about? Is that something that you've always wanted to do, or...?
No, not really. I never even got an English language O level at school. You know, I was really lucky. I was proper Scouse that couldn't understand English. I wrote... I kept notes on the way to Istanbul. So I had this little notepad, and I wrote funny things down. I wrote little observations. And I've done that ever since I was a kid, really. If I went to America or something like that, I'd write bits down so I could then remember it. So it was helped me... Those bullet points helped me picture stuff. So when I come back, I had this great story, because as I said, it took 6 days to get there from here to Istanbul and back. They win the cup at half time when they're out on the feet. I'd done planes, trains and automobiles. I think I'd done, 5 planes, 4 trains, a coach, a couple of taxis. I walked across a border. So it was like a boss story. Brilliant. Yeah. Like an amazing story. And it was still the days where most people just went there and back. And I'd done it for half the price of an actual day trip. So for like 250 quid I did all this sort of stuff, and it was dead enjoyable and really exciting. I had a great story, and everyone goes, what an amazing story, you should write it down. So I wrote this short story, and I passed it to a few people, and Nikki went, that's really, really good. And she went, show it to another. And there was 2 girls in work who were in a book club. I said, I've just written a short story. And they wrote it, went, that's amazing, it's got characters in it. And they were talking all this book stuff. I went, it's got characters, it's got like a big ending, and it's great and all that, and it's funny and all that. She said, you write more? So I thought, go on, I might write more. So I was travelling a lot at the time, so I had time in my hand. So on the laptop for work, I'd just write. So I wrote a chapter about cup finals, and then I wrote a chapter about going to match for the first time, you know, like seeing that green stuff. And then I found the courage to write about Hillsborough. I wrote about my Hillsborough journey and the day and how it happened to me. I tried to go, this is what happened to me. I wasn't going on about anything else around it. It was my journey, and I wrote it through my eyes in what I thought was a clever way at the time. And as it turns out, a lot of people go, I really went on that journey with you, and they understood more, and there's been some really good stuff. But then I thought, well, okay, if I write about Hillsborough, I've got to write about Heysel as well, because it was a Heysel. I did, and then I wrote about a few European aways, and then I thought, okay, how do you structure this? But I put me in there as well, because I was just having Charlie, and then I was travelling the world, and I was meeting all these people, and I could bring it all together, because the first chapter's based in South Africa when I'm out for work there. But actually, the first fella I see on the ground in South Africa is a fella walking down the street, and it's 90 degrees. He's got a Liverpool scarf wrapped around his neck. And I think, that's mad.
Yeah.
And then I met like some great people. So actually, I built the book as a series of short stories, and then I joined it together.
Okay.
So now I'm on book 2. I'm doing the similar thing, but there's a lot more. Probably the journey stuff. So I've gone to people who've read the first book and asked for feedback, and the bits they like the most and the bit they don't. And the feedback is sold like 4,500 copies, I think. So met some really great people through it, and I enjoyed doing it because I've always, as you can tell, I've got stories to tell. So there's more coming.
Fantastic. So moving away now from the match day, I wanted to ask a few specific questions on the football club. So how do you feel about ticket pricing, the structure of it, and the availability to fans?
See, this is like
it's opening up a can of worms.
This
really
is a big can of worms, but it's one that should be opened up. I think it's too expensive for the amount of money that's in the game. But unfortunately now with COVID, I don't think you're going to see the thing they could have done. Because I read somewhere once that you only saw something like Liverpool only got 7% of their turnover through the match day revenue. Everything else was, right through ticket prices. But when you went to £77, when you did that and everyone staged a walkout, yeah. I would have been on that walkout of a new game, because definitely because you're just taking the piss now. That's not a working class man's game anymore. And even £50 a head, but they're going, well, the theatre's £50 a head. It's not the theatre. It's a working class sport, but it's not a working class sport. It's a moneyed sport now. And you go, everything else that goes around it, it's an expensive day out. And even if you're on a good wage, it's too expensive. And you could actually go, when you did the 20s Plenty campaign and stuff like that, because you just go, if you're going to an away match, you go, it costs a fortune. When I used to go on the trains, you could get a train fare for £5 to London on a special day and all this. You can't do any of that now. You've got to be really clever and creative. Coaches are 30 or 40 quid to London for a day. And you go, well, that's a lot of money. Do you know, Matt?
Liverpool fans are coming from all over the place. So
yeah, but it's just for us, regardless of the fact that we have to pay a ferry or a plane fare and all, it's an expensive day out anyway from here, regardless of match ticket. But they were just going, we can cream the money off these guys because they'll just pay anything.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the view going, well, if you want to come, if you don't want to pay it, don't pay it. Someone will fill your seat. And at Liverpool, someone would do. Yeah. You go, that's not the right way to look.
And like going on from that, I think obviously touting's such a massive thing now, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm any angel. I've not bought a ticket off a tout, but I think that's where they've got you.
Sometimes you're forced into that because you can't get it through legitimate sources.
A match you want to go to.
Yeah, sometimes
you'll do whatever you can to get there, won't you?
Like I've never sold a ticket myself over the odds, and never will do, because I will look for a decent lad who do it. And I know lads who've helped me out when I've needed tickets, and talk about tickets, try getting one for your lad. Yeah. It's hard work unless you know someone who's not going, or like I did this once where I went to the back room of a pub and got a card off a fella, and you were Mr. Jones or whatever like that, and he took the card back. I've only done it once, but he had a stack of them, and that can't survive.
Yeah, I've had a members card since 2014. And obviously, the criteria, you can only get so many games, and through the booking system, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So you kind of, if you get that first game of the season, you've had pre-season, you want to get to that match, you're forced into buying it off these touts in a way. It's an emotional investment sort of thing,
unless
isn't it?
One of your mates is not going. If you want to be in that ground, and I tell you what, Mike, there's nothing worse than being locked out of ground. I've done it for the Chelsea semi-final. I think it was 2007, and it was like devastating, absolutely devastating, because actually you're out there, you can hear the crowd and go, because actually you go to the match to go to the match. And I felt for all those people in Madrid who were there who couldn't get the tickets. And I know loads were there going, okay, we're all right with that because we know we're not getting a ticket. But ones who've been to every European away on someone's members card and all that, and then can't get anything.
Yeah, I mean, like last season, you touched on it there. So I went PSG away. I knew you were there as well, weren't you? So I got a ticket for PSG. I'd done majority of the home games and the group stages. Didn't get a ticket for the final, obviously. still went over, still had a boss time.
Yeah.
We went to Valencia, and then we went into Madrid for the day. And like you say, it is heartbreaking not getting a ticket, and you're seeing all these other people who got tickets, but you kind of make up for it because you think, right, I'm not going to go to the match. What am I going to do to make this day a bit more special for me?
If you resign to not going to the match, if you're like walking the streets trying to get a ticket, that's hard work. And it was funny because I thought I'd be resigned to that with Charlie going to Madrid, because I thought it was going to be really hard. And in the end, 2 people I know come across in ballots, but obviously my name goes on the ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But actually they get the credit. So like when matches come around, I can't really get on that ladder, even though like I've been to loads over the last 3 or 4 years. I've got like 2 credits on my card, even though I've probably been to about 9. Because actually you're going to go on everybody else's, but then you just go, that's the game. And while they're giving tickets away to people who don't deserve them, people who go regular do it, there's got to be a better way. But at the moment there's no real way of looking after the people who deserve to be looked after, because like the lads who give their ticket up to everyone to go all around Europe, but then they take their own for the final. You go, okay, well if you know that at the very beginning, if it's a final ticket, they're getting it. Still galling to build the credits up for them, isn't it? But often their circumstances change. They have kids and stuff like that. There's no easy way, but what annoys me is like people who are obviously going for the first time. And in Kiev, I was sitting there in Kiev, and next to me were 2 Ukrainian guys with their girlfriends, and we're bang in the middle of the Liverpool end. Where have those tickets come from? So what I'd say is, let them have the tickets. Who do you get them off? Never get a ticket again. Because actually, I don't mind it going to people who go to match at all. I don't mind it, and I don't mind people going to match for the first time. But if people are peddling it and making money on the back of it, when good lads and girls are going without, that's not right.
And it's the corporate side of it as well. There's so many sponsors that are getting tickets. I think the further you go in the Champions League, the less tickets you get allocated, because obviously loads of them are going to these corporate sponsors, aren't they?
I'm going to be your kettle partner or your microwave partner. Yeah, you get 100 tickets.
Exactly.
For every year. You just go, really? Do you know what I mean? It's hard work, and it's just like it needs to be better. But the club are taking steps to work with the fans through Spirit of Shankly in 1906. They are working with them, and like, God bless them, there's some great people. I think Tom Carroll's his name at Liverpool, does a great job. They did brilliant with the fan zone, which was like in Madrid was unbelievable. 50,000 people there, whatever. But in the ground, all the flags went in the ground. Look at our end. Whereas you look at the end the year before in Kiev, and there was hardly anything in there because you weren't allowed to. Anybody, so they are engaging with fan groups. They still make mistakes, they still do the errors. I
think you've had, is it Tony Barrett as well? You've had sports liaison as well.
Yeah, so you got these people who actually understand it, but there's still people making decisions who get it wrong. The thing with Liverpool is when they get it wrong, they have gone, sorry, we've got it wrong, and backtracked. But the thing I'm saying is, don't get it wrong in the first place. You make yourself look stupid.
It's already out there, isn't it? Yeah,
it's already out there, and people go, you don't care, and all of a sudden you have this backtrack. There was one earlier this year, and I can't remember exactly what it was now, but it was like that going, you're just letting yourself down again. And he backtracked really quickly. I can't remember what it was, but the £77 ticket thing was like that. You're like that. What game are you looking? Look at the average wage, because the average wage in Britain's about 25 grand. And then you're asking someone to pay £77 a game for home. And I know they earn all 77, but you just go, realistic. And how are you going to get kids in the ground? Because, I always think Liverpool, and I'm very, very proud of what Liverpool is the international side of it. You go everywhere and people want to go to Liverpool. And I love that. But it's like, it's got a Scouse heartbeat. And, there's this debate about Scouse v Wolves and all that. That's rubbish. The lads who sit in front of me, and they have done for 20 years, they're from Scunthorpe, home and away everywhere you go. So, and look at us, we come from the Isle of Man. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't matter. If you're Liverpoolian, there's a way of doing it and all that sort of stuff. But it does have this Scouse heartbeat, and it has this heartbeat that we're the show. And what I always say it's people pay to come to see the show, but actually what Liverpool were doing, we don't want the show. We need it for our marketing campaign, don't we? Because we need the flags, but actually we're going to treat you like there because you just come anyway. We go, no, you can't. So the fan groups, Spirit of Shankly got rid of Hicks and Gillette. Do you know what I mean? That's what fandom does. Stand up.
When the fans come together, it's very powerful, aren't they?
Yeah. The problem can be, it's like food banks, isn't it? There's loads of great stuff with food banks, but then people are still singing Feed the Scousers, even though like the week before you feed them to food. There's loads of great stuff that fan groups do.
Definitely.
But if you read Twitter and stuff like that, you know, fans don't like each other. It was funny, I seen something when Liverpool play United this year. There's more that joins us than divides us. Was a video like people in Man United fans in Manchester were going, Scousers are just the same as us, we hate them, and then Liverpool were going, oh yeah, it's about the clothes, it's about going to match, it's about your mates. So there's more that joins us together than divides us.
Definitely, yeah.
So when you see them singing Sign On and stuff like that, going, hold on, you know, what are you doing? Or we're coming to visit your hubcaps, going, you know, crime rates were higher in Manchester and you're still singing, like, you know, coming to visit your hubcaps. So, you know, fans need to stand up for each other, but actually we're easily divided, and there's some toxic stuff like Twitter. It can be really good, but it can be so toxic, and actually you can't see who's on Twitter. Sometimes these fake profiles going, there's like an FSG out one, isn't it? Tends to be Irish people. Yeah, but who are they? One, you know, one of them I see all the time.
How many matches have there been? You know,
are they even Liverpool fans, or are they just Evertonians or anything? Yeah. Because actually, everyone can masquerade as everyone else, can't they?
Definitely, that's an evil, isn't it?
I like Twitter because I've met a lot of great people off it. There's lots of great people, and I've met them face to face. And then there's other people you haven't, but you have a relationship with. But it's toxic, and we need to sort that out. Because actually, I remember going to Madrid. Tottenham fans were amazing, and Liverpool fans were amazing to Tottenham. Tottenham were amazing, and it was a great day out.
There was kind of a big thing before that, wasn't there? They were saying, oh, English fans together and stuff, and we seen them out there, and we just got chatting to them, and they were like, congratulations, and we were just
they
like,
were made up to
a boss time, and
it was like us in Kiev going, it was probably a year too soon for us, Kiev, but it was like, you know, 100,000 British people can go to Madrid and have an absolute ball and not cause any bother.
Yeah.
People need to praise that as opposed to
take note.
Yeah.
So for listeners that may not know, you were actually at Hillsborough on that day, so I know it's a very emotional subject for yourself and all concerned, and I'm sure you've seen the video that Anfield wrapped it up at Celtic Park, did a day trip up there. So any listeners that haven't seen it, I would really encourage looking at it, even if you're not a fan of Liverpool. It's not a Liverpool thing,
it's safe standing,
it's a football thing. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts on safe standing were, and do you think that's something that the football club could ever implement at Anfield?
I think it is something they could implement. It's it's very emotional for us, but there's two camps. There's the people going, well, never ever ever, and won't even discuss it, and then there's other people who are, okay, well, let's discuss it. And even within the families, I think there's a couple of camps really, and there's someone who says standing, someone I follow who said standing didn't kill her brother, and it wasn't standing, it was unsafe standing. So safe standing, how do you make it safe? I think it's definitely worth to look, you know, like the rail seats and stuff like that, because standing in seated areas is unsafe. That's more dangerous than standing in a proper standing area. So I like what Celtic have done, and I think it could be trialled, and it could be a portion, but it needs to be well controlled and stewarded, and you know, they need to behave themselves. The Green Brigade of Celtic get into trouble probably a bit too much at the moment, so actually it's starting to denigrate what they do. So there's a fine line, but you know, I can't remember the last time I sat down at Anfield in the Kop, because everyone just stands up constantly, and everybody's got battered shins and calves and all those sort of things because of the nature of it. And if you have a tumble in them, it's dangerous. You know, Hillsborough for me was about the nature of the environment, the ground. They were in pens, they were closed pens, so there was no lateral movement. You couldn't move from side to side. There was no escape actually in that. Oh, so there was a pen at the front you couldn't get out of. So, you know, I was up on the side, and I remember looking down on it, and it was just like a whirlpool of people. And, you know, they couldn't get out the front, they couldn't get out the sides. People dragged them up at the back. But actually, once they were in there, and there was too many in there, and it was failings. If the capacity for that pen had been kept to, you wouldn't have had that problem. But actually, it was a pen. If you listen to the language, you pen animals.
Yeah.
But that's what they treated us like in the 80s.
Like cow.
Yeah, Man United were the same, exactly the same it's type of standing area they had, which was the scoreboard and the bottom of the scoreboard and the end opposite the Stretford end. It was the bottom end, and what they do, they fill it and then they close the gate off, and it would be 3 gates, because what they could do is then they could always have a sterile area in between, because people didn't behave themselves. But the view was you were always not going to be able to behave yourself. The problem in Hillsborough was actually they didn't control the entrance to the pens. And I think, so, from a safe standing point of view, I would like to see safe standing trialled to go actually prove it worked. But I also appreciate people who go never ever on the Kop.
Yeah.
I get that, because actually, I didn't lose anyone. So my view is a valid view, but actually people who lost people have a valid view as well. It's just, they lost family members, and I just think it for us it's not as clear as for some other people. Some other people actually it's not as emotional for someone else maybe who could try it. And Celtic does work. I know the lads on the Anfield Wrap went up and work, control well, does this, give it a go and see what it is. But maybe not for us to be the trial.
I think the main thing about it is I wouldn't want it to be an argument whether it's a yes or a no. I think it's about choice. I think if you want to stand at the match, you should be given the facility to do that in the best and safe possible way.
The safest possible way.
Safety is paramount at the end of the day for all fans. I think it's a struggle of Liverpool. Obviously, we've got the Kop. I think you've got people that have been stood on the Kop for years. They might not want to move. Obviously, atmosphere is a bit of a problem. Or it has been, maybe not so because we're doing so well now, but years ago it was a bit of a problem.
Try getting the atmosphere going, because
when you're sitting down, it's quite hard, isn't it?
I'm 55 soon, and I've had my season ticket in the Kop since I was 15. So actually, and of all the years seated, I've sat in the middle of the Kop. Okay, well, I like to think I'm a big shouter and passionate and stuff like that. But a lot of my age group going, I want a quiet life. I want to be in the main stand maybe, or
maybe
just want to watch the game, or leave it to the youngsters. Because if you look at like an away crowd, how vibrant the away crowd is of youngsters, and I think the trip to Kiev, or the journey to Kiev, that become really noticeable. The youth of the away support was already identifiable. Previously, it was all the old heads, because no one could get tickets. All of a sudden, we got this massive group of young lads and girls who are really passionate about doing it and going for it. So I'd like to see it. And it's maybe when they redevelop the Anfield Road, you could go, actually there's your element of safe standing there, but actually then you might take away from the Kop. But I think it needs a bit more thought and a proper conversation about it. I think there's just been maybe too quick to cut the conversation off. But everyone needs to be heard. Everyone. Yeah.
So kind of following on from that, as a whole, what's the biggest mistake you've seen the club make? So if I kind of go in there, I mean, in my time, obviously it's Hicks and Gillette, I think. So you've got a Spirit Shankly group coming in, and they were obviously formed around then, obviously trying to get them out. But you touched on it earlier about the club. Even though they seem to be doing a lot of great things with the fans now, they're connecting with the fans a lot more, food banks, etc. They still do make these owners that we've got now the odd issue, don't they?
Well, they don't understand it, and it depends who's making the decisions. I think it's like, and they have listened, because they've got to give more power to the people who go to the match, and they're not the only owners to do it. It's like, I think, when you go into Europe and stuff like that, you only find out if you got a ticket 3 weeks before. You only get the criteria, whereas Man United do it as soon as the draw comes out.
Late sales.
There's 2 late sales where you've already got your you've got to get your flights booked early, otherwise you are expensive. It is. But I think they need to be a bit more considerate, but also we need to understand that it is a business as well. So while you can criticise the club and go, football's a business, it's a multi-billion-pound business, and that's what it is. And Liverpool are very good at the business side of things now. The biggest mistake I saw them do was they closed the club shop the day after they won in Istanbul. You know what I mean? They had no marketing now, and even now though.
But that is a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's massive, isn't it?
You should be absolutely reaping it now. But even now, you go in Liverpool's club shop and go, tell you what, it's not half as good as some of the stuff out there with Love, Follow, Conquer and Hat, Scarf and a Bad and all those sort of things. And you know, some of the stuff that the fans do. So, okay, they took Hat, Scarf and a Badge they didn't take them to court, but they took them to task on, you can't use the liver bird because of copyright. Well, no, we'll get him on board then as a partner and allow him to use it, because, Mick, who runs it, is a really, really good fella. He's brilliant lad, some great designs. I'm wearing one of theirs now. I just go, they were designing match going gear for match going lads, and Liverpool really could have got into that and gone, there's a hat, scarf and a badge concession, got Mick on board, paid him or like that, or Love, Follow, Conquer, and go, we're doing great stuff. Imagine like 1 million t-shirts going out.
The opportunity's there, isn't it? I think it's getting someone in there. They could have had
too corporate.
Yeah.
And actually, even now, loads of people go, look at the nonsense they're pulling out for the for being champions. The stuff they've got is rubbish compared to some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
And you go, I know every Tom, Dick and Harry's doing it now, but there's some brilliant stuff out there.
Yeah, like you say, you've got Mick at Hat, Scarf for a Badge. You've got Jockey at Transalpino.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there, isn't it?
Look at what everyone was wearing in Madrid. It was either Hat, Scarf and a Badge or Transalpino, or is it Dreams of Songs to Sing, Reds for Threads?
Yeah.
They did some great ones, you know what I mean? Really, really good. And I like to wear a hat, scarf and a badge because you're supporting a local lad, and the
money's going back into follow Reds, isn't it?
And he's always followed the Reds. I remember from back in the day, you know what I mean? So it was like, you want to keep it local. You don't want to go into just any old design, but actually they should engage with these more. Go, come on,
100%.
Come in house. We'll pay you a wage, and you can sit there all day and design away, and actually we'll put it in your shop and you'll sell 10 times as many.
And Liverpool are known for being this, not just a football club but an institution, so they're looking after as a family, and the logos.
What I think they did was they brought Owen McVeigh Foundation in house, and they sold the Dad and Lad Going to Match t-shirt, which I loved those, because back to Charlie, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I've got a few of them.
Yeah, because that's where you go. And Charlie had one, and I had one. We used to go on a boat from here with them, and you go, that's what it's about when you're a dad. And it's funny because a lad approached me about writing a book about Dad and Lads Going to Match, and he was a Celtic fan, and it just because I was writing my own, I was like, I haven't got time to do it. But it's a great story, because that's the thing but it's just not Dad and Lads, it's Dad and Lass. I took his, I know one of the lads I know here, he's got a couple of girls who takes them to Everton all the time. I don't know what they've done to deserve that, but no, it's just it is. I know Tristan here, he's taking his little girl.
It's a family thing, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it never was when I was a kid. There was very few kids, but it's nice to see, because they're your next generation. And if Charlie's got the passion that a lot of those lads who are in Rome and Kiev and all that have got, I'll be absolutely made up, because he'll have had an absolute ball. And there's a couple of lads who follow me on Twitter who reached out, one to start writing stuff now, and they go everywhere, and I'm going, just write it down, and they look at me going, can you give us a bit of advice? I go, as much as you want, anything to help you. I didn't have the confidence to write anything when I was their age. And there's some great stuff, like the fan stuff from Anfield Rap and that. They're brilliant. There's some brilliant content around. So, and hopefully for you, Mike, for this is great.
Yeah.
Especially when you start to fans of other clubs, because they're just the same as us.
Yeah.
They just love football, and they'll have their own experience. They'll have their own mates like us.
Comparing experiences and stuff,
Yeah. We're lucky with what the opportunities we've got. That's it. And so you've got to take your opportunity. Some people, the opportunity could be they went to a playoff final at Wembley or stuff like that. I've got lads who I'm still friendly with from Peterborough, and they went to a playoff final at Wembley. It was the highlight of their life, or like a Johnson's Vans Trophy, something like that, or LDV or something. And it's like the best day ever. And they shared tweets and videos of, you go, because remember we went to Wembley, got wellied, and a great time. It's just we're luckier than most here. Yeah.
So flipping it on its head now, what are you most excited about in the future for the club? So obviously we've got Jurgen Klopp at the helm, and he's a god, isn't he?
It is.
Do you see comparisons with Shankly and Klopp, or do you think they're a bit different?
They're different. I can see why people like to compare it and do it, and you go, What Shanks always got was the power of the people behind the goal. And Klopp gets it. Remember that day when he took everybody to do the bow in front of the
West Brom game, wasn't it?
And everyone's going, oh, he's a divvy and all that, like that. It's all for show. He realised that actually you can't have one without the other. If you haven't got the fans behind you, you can't perform as well. It gives you the extra 5%. And I think there's no way Liverpool would have been so poor for the last 15 minutes against Burnley if fans were in the ground, because the fans were, and actually the fans have done that time and time when you need a dragging out of it, like Leicester and Tottenham and stuff like that. The fans, the noise that comes out, it gives you that extra 5%, and it takes 5% off.
It's a cliche, but it is a 12th man, isn't
it? It might be a cliche, but it's bang on.
Yeah.
And actually, if you don't believe you can make a difference, don't go to match. And it's funny because like Barcelona last year, and I was saying to people, if you don't believe that we can help them tonight, don't go. Sell your ticket to someone else.
Yeah.
But everyone I was with believed he could make a difference.
I mean, opposition fans always kind of take the piss with us, don't they? Kind of saying, yeah, they are, and they go, "Oh, Anfield's a myth," and just because they've watched us play Southampton at 12 o'clock on a Sunday.
Let's see you get up for Southampton at 12 o'clock on a Sunday, yeah.
Especially when you've been to Pop World as well. But the evidence is there for all to see, and it's a jealousy, I think, isn't it? And
it's this begrudging jealousy. I know a few United lads who are match goers and stuff, and they go, I get it. They do get it, and they hate coming to Anfield when the crowd gets behind it. And there's a great bit where Mourinho and Wenger are in Madrid.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And Mourinho says to the interviewer, "Shut up! This is beautiful." And Wenger's going, It's the worst place in the world. He said, because I seen an interview with him yesterday, and he's going, they shake your hand when you take a corner. Do you know what I mean? Like that. And he goes, the hardest place in the world, because it's so intense. But actually, when that noise ripples down off it, imagine being there, because you just think, sometimes, I know against Dortmund, you couldn't hear the cop that well. But you could hear the Annie Road, and you could hear the Kemlin were getting up, and then you could see the main stand start bouncing, and all of a sudden the cacophony of noise comes in. And I've been to places like Barcelona, and it's quiet. It's not the same. Madrid, oh my word, it was so quiet.
It's like the Chelsea game, the ghost goal. We sucked it into the net.
Sucked it in, yeah. And
and it wasn't a goal.
It was. It definitely was. Even VAR would have said it. But you'd being sent off and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But for me, the thing that excites me is that's no longer about me. The thing that excites me is it excites Charlie. And I don't know if Liverpool will go on to build a bastion of invincibility and all this sort of stuff. But I do know the man in charge will demand it. And I do know that he gets it, and like as a man you've got to love him for what he is and respect him, and he gets us, and that's not, he gets Scousers, he gets us as a fan base, and he plays the game well. He surrounds himself with great people, and I just think the future is exciting. What it looks like post-COVID, for me, I didn't really celebrate the 30 years that mad, because actually I found it hard to celebrate, because I was more relieved than anything, because actually I got to the point, Mike, where I thought I might never see it before I die, and I'm only 54, but I got to that point going, it's never for us. And actually, I hear people saying 30 years ahead. It's not really. We've had a great 30 years. Doing the league, what I found winning the league is it stopped all the abuse, because you've got nothing against us now. They've got to go somewhere else. You can't go, you never won the Premiership. It's got that monkey off your shoulder, and actually it's given us the real ability to go, we can get across the line. I think
Klopp said something, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, when we were going for the league and we were toe to toe with City, and he said, we've got to enjoy seasons. If City get 100 points, we get 92. We've got that, and that's not a failed season. We've still got to find a way of enjoying a season.
Well, what was it the season before last? 25 points behind them, then 1 point behind them, and then 25 ahead of them. And
yeah,
what, really?
I think that was a massive thing for him to say. Then, like you say, you come back.
It's not failure. Yeah, it's not failure. It's a step on the road to being brilliant. And I listened to a guy a few years ago, and he went, winning's by inches. You don't turn around overnight. It's like it's a cultural thing. And his biggest point was on the day that he got appointed, he went, I'm going to turn doubters into believers. 2 years ago we still had doubters. Last year we had doubters.
Look where we are now.
Not many now doubters.
World, European and
got Everton.
England champions.
Yeah, we just don't win the Mickey Mouse ones.
So finally, so obviously the podcast is centred around going the match. So with every podcast we're going to do, I want to end by asking, what are your top 3 favourite matches you've been to? So it doesn't have to be based on the 90 minutes itself. It could be based on something that happened during the day, the lead up, whatever reason. I know you've got a few to pick from, so
I've got too many to pick from, but I'd probably go for some surprising ones actually. Maybe surprising, and it's like a time and a place. It's like that age thing again. You know, we've just talked right away through from me being probably 6 or 7 years of age to being 54. And actually the first one I've got is we beat Tottenham 7-0, and it was I wrote it down on purpose, 1978 and it was 7-0, and Tottenham were like a new breed. I think they'd only just come up, but they bought Ardiles and Vera, who'd been in the Argentinian cup winning team, so they had this ticker tape welcome everywhere they went. They were playing ticker tape football. It was all fabulous and all that, and they come to Anfield as like pretenders. And I always remember it was a beautiful sunny day, roasting hot day, and I think it was August, and it was just enough into the season that Liverpool were getting a stride, and we smashed them 7-0 and it was like, I think it was 3-0 at half time, and I remember saying to my dad, I was sitting in my granddad's seat, and he sat down the Anfield Road end, we're probably about the edge of the penalty box, so where the away fans are now, he sat probably about 100 yards away from there, like right on the edge of the box, but probably 100 yards, right on the edge of the box. But the away fans were in the far corner, used to stand up there. And I remember at half time I said to my dad, I said, I can't get any better second half, can it? Because they were brilliant and all that. They were and they were playing the best football, and he come out and then they were even better. And the last goal, the one that everyone will remember, is the Terry Mack header, and he wins it on the edge of his own box, and he brings it out and he puts it to Stevie Highway, and Stevie Highway goes down the wing, and right in front of me Stevie Highway crossed it, and then McDermott just arrives after winning it on the edge of his own box. He's run 70 yards, and he plants this header right in the top, and it was like the most amazing goal. It might have even got goal of the season, but it's like, that's the goal. I went like that was the highlight of my youth, or my young days, going to watch Liverpool. It was just amazing. So that's like really stands out, because you know, the sun, the green grass, all those things as a kid, and actually they were just right on form. And obviously they just won the European Cup again, like so you know, you had Dalglish and all this. They were amazing. Do you know, they were just at the top of the tree. Souness was marshalling them, and you know, just anything you could, you know, they were just fabulous. But then I roll it forward to 1992, and for a lot of older Liverpool fans, you often hear this one get quoted. This is one of the best European nights, and this was a night when he beat Auxerre 3-0. And actually only 23,000 people were in the ground. It was half empty, but the Kop was full. But the stands there was hardly anyone in the stands. I think Auxerre brought about 300 or 400.
Where are they from?
France.
Oh, right, okay.
But they had this fabulous manager called Guy Roux, a very famous French manager. And Auxerre were like actually a force in Europe. They were a very good footballing team. I think they might have won the French league, but it was before PSG had money, so you know, it's sort of like that. Auxerre were a very big name in the early 90s on the European scene. Played great football, strong, and he beat us 2-0 in Auxerre, and we were lucky to get 0, to be fair. We were terrible. But when they come back, so everyone went, probably out anyway. So actually money was really tight, so Kemlyn Road, half empty. Anfield Road, half empty. Main stand was dead. There was no one in it. But the Kop was pretty full. When you look at the Kop, it was rammed, you know what I mean? So the atmosphere was really good. And he got a goal after about 4 minutes, and Moby scored the penalty. And then they went in the second half. We were 2-0 half time, and then Liverpool just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and they had a man sent off, and then Mark Walters scored the goal. Like, you know, it was a bit like just class, and the crowd went absolutely mental. At the end of it, it's like you won the European Cup.
Won it
itself. But it was like, and actually it was the turnover, and it was we were in that age where we were becoming a poor team.
Yeah,
we'd started to capitulate.
On the decline.
We were on the decline, and you could really see it. Do you know, you had players in there who really actually it was a mishmash of players, and the older players were getting old, and Jan Molby was carrying probably a two stone over what he should have done, but he was still class above Molby. But yeah, all of a sudden, from a team who'd shown very little passion that year, because I think what happened to Hillsborough, don't ever underestimate the devastating effect it had on the club. I think we do, because I was talking to someone last week saying, I walked around in a daze for a year after Hillsborough. Imagine what the players did. So you just think, and all of a sudden, Kenny had gone, Souness had come. Wasn't a great place to be. Really wasn't a great place to be. And all of a sudden, they showed this energy and passion and belief, and we got behind them, and we made the difference, and the 12th man was in full effect. So I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
And probably the last one was Barcelona last year. I thought, you can't...
Probably the greatest European at Anfield, isn't it? Well,
it is.
Do you ever see that being topped?
Well, I never had... Well, I can't see how you could do unless you were 6-0 down to get to Real Madrid or something like that, and he had every superstar in it. It was FIFA game. I don't think you can do. I think, do you know, the big thing was they didn't deserve to get beaten. Barcelona 3-0. They played really, really well, and actually, you know, I think Dembele should have scored in the last minute, shouldn't he? And it was like, could have been 4. And you come away from there and someone goes, you got beat 3-0 by Barcelona, that's embarrassing. It wasn't embarrassing at all. It was a great performance. It was just, and sat at the bar or the post and all this. So I was going across and someone said, what are you going across for? It's a dead rubber. I went, no, it's not. I said, if they get one, Barcelona had already gone out the previous year to Roma. I said, they'll creak a bit, I think. And I was saying that in the thing, and when we got to Frost on County Road, I was going, I don't even know what I'm doing here, some lads were. But by the time you left, we were all going, go on, you're never going to win it. Like, you have to come.
A few ales are in there, that's like, isn't it?
I said, if you don't believe, don't go. Because actually, if we get one, but you did always have that fear you'd ship one. And obviously, you probably watched the highlights about 5 million times, haven't you? They have some good chances. Alisson made some really good saves. Coutinho has one, Messi has one. But actually, that belief... And once Liverpool got the second and the third right away, because I think they get it within probably a minute's playing time of each other, don't they? It was always going to do, but you always thought they might just sneak one. But then James Milner took it into the corner in the 98th minute or whatever it may be.
A bit of shithousery.
Oh, he's brilliant, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
I love Milner for that. And you go, that was it. And coming out of it, and it was just like... You were buzzing. You went to the pub afterwards, and then I didn't sleep till about 5 o'clock in the morning there, because he was booking me trip to Madrid. But the morning before I had this trip to Alicante booked, and I had a flight for 35 quid, and at 3-0 I thought I had to book it, and it was like I just went, let it go. And that was the day after the first leg, and I should have just done it because it cost me a couple hundred quid in the end. I should have believed more. I was a doubter after I was a total believer, and it was like, you know what I mean? But it was carrying so much emotion. And when I got to Madrid, I was a nervous wreck because it was just too much on it. In the second half, I must have gone for about 5 pisses, and I think 6 bottles of water, probably why I went for 5 pisses, you know. But it was just such a nervous wreck, and then I burst into tears at full time. The emotion of it was just because it had been such a battle to get there. And so the Barcelona bit, for me, can never be topped. Because I don't see how you can do, because because they're one of the best teams in Europe, if not the best, and we've absolutely ruined them. We had
Firmino out, we had Salah out.
We had the Origi and Shaqiri.
They are arguably the best players ever lived.
Yeah, playing in their positions. Suarez trying all his tricks.
Coutinho was back.
Yeah, it was written there for him to get a poxy goal on it, or like a stunning free kick. And actually, when have you seen the documentary, the Barcelona documentary on Rakatan? And you go, if anyone listening hasn't watched that, because at half time Jordi Alba's crying his eyes out. And to be fair, he's at fault for the second goal as well. So if you were their manager, you go, right, you're off, because actually he was done. And Messi even mentioned it again the other day. They are totally ruined by Liverpool. Wait, how do you love that? Yeah, so they're my 3. I said I had loads to choose from for different reasons, but I think they're not a bad 3. Like,
I don't think there's any better way of finishing the podcast than talking about Liverpool's best European home game.
There you go, mate.
So Keith, thanks so much for coming on, mate. Massively appreciate it.
You're
thanks
welcome,
for your time.
Mike, anytime, mate. Yeah, brilliant.